They were just put there for safekeeping, as I understand it. That was done with the acquiescence of the Justice Department, and I don't know how any great mystery arises from that, but that was the reason.
Well, why was the Justice Department unsafe? Why would they have to be taken to the White House for safety?
Well, I think you'd have to ask somebody else that, the people who thought that. But the fact is that they were felt to be impressed with a national security characteristic, and that the best place for them to be deposited was in the White House. And I can't disagree with that.
Were you aware, Mr. Ehrlichman, last week that they were in the White House?
Oh, I've known that they were there all the time. I haven't known everything that was in them.
You know anything that was in them?
I skimmed them I made a very cursory examination when they came in, a year or two ago, just to make sure that they were what they were represented to be, and they were put away, and that's the last I saw of them.
Last week, Judge Matt Byrne, who presided over the Pentagon Papers case, asked the government to send out any information, documents it had relating to the Pentagon Papers trial. Why were these files not sent out?
Well, I can't answer that. For my part, I didn't know there was anything in there relating to that trial, or Mr. Ellsberg, or anybody associated with that. That's not anything that I ever saw or knew from the few documents that I did look at in that collection.
What I said to the judge is that I would rest my defense on a theory of law known as duress, which generally speaking means that if one is in reasonable apprehension, regardless of whether or not this apprehension is in fact correct, of imminent bodily harm to others, he can technically break a law in order to avoid the greater harm.
drawing a blank.
People have been waiting all this time.
Yes.
Mr. Ehrlichman, can you tell us what documents you were asked to verify?
No, I'll tell you, I would only verify the fact that I did go back to the grand jury for a little while, that I came to do what I was asked to do. I won't have any comment about any of the specific content of anything that was talked about there, and I've tried to consistently follow that policy.
Can you tell us about your relationship with the president?
However, over the weekend, sir, they were apparently discovered there by the acting FBI director. Can you tell us what those documents were doing in your safe?
Well, I don't think he discovered them there over the weekend. In point of fact, over a period of the last, year or more, that particular group of documents has been held in the White House for safekeeping. There hasn't been any mystery about their being there, as far as I know. At about the time that I resigned, those documents were all moved into the depository, the document depository there, and I think they've been there ever since. Does that answer your question?
Why were they originally put into your office? Why were they originally...
To have them
I'm
involved
going to have to
domestic.
excuse myself, and we'll be
Mr.
on our
Ehrlichman,
way.
can you
We'll
tell
get
us
you next
about,
time.
are you still on the payroll at the White House?
No, I'm excused as far as I know. I haven't heard of it.
Are you still on the White House payroll, Mr. Ehrlichman?
For about another 20 minutes.
Really? That short?
No, it'll be another day or so, I think, something of that kind.
Can you tell us about your relationship with the president now?
It's very cordial.
Do you expect...
Talking to him daily?
Oh, no, not daily, but on a very cordial basis.
Don't scratch the car, boys.
Good night, Mr. Wilson.
Talking about the Fifth Amendment, but not about executive privilege. Can you tell us, has that been invoked before the grand jury by either of your clients?
If it is not being straightforward to say no comment, I again say no comment.
Have they invoked executive privilege?
Connie, I just got through telling the gentleman over there. No comment. You devil, you. Don't quote me on that, please. Leslie would, I know that. I don't know anything, kids. See you later. Come on, don't you all come in the rain? Do you ever have... I've talked to Mr. Richard Heck, who's in town.
And what does he say?
That's as far as I'm going.
Has he indicated that he would like Mr.
Ask
Ehrlichman
him.
to come?
Ask him, Connie.
What about the material that was found in Mr. Ehrlichman's files today? Mr. Ruckles
You didn't hear my earlier remark, did you?
No.
Wasn't destroyed, was it?
No.
Huh? Okay.
Do you,
Is
has
that a
Mr.
plus?
Ehrlichman passed along to you what it was doing there?
No comment.
Is it one of the subjects that the grand jury is discussing or the prosecutors are discussing?
I don't know.
Do you know why Mr. Ehrlichman was called back here?
Yeah, to identify some papers. You're late getting in.
That's right.
So far, they've given absolutely no indication that they're going to take any shortcuts by reason of the pleas entered by the other defendants, which in my opinion compounds the error which I base my mistrial on, this constant reference to people who aren't at the defense table any longer.
What is your inclination now, to put your defendant on the stand or not?
It's still an open question. However, there's a distinct possibility, in fact a probability, that he will take the stand. The final decision has not yet been made.
Well, what is the effect of all these guilty pleas? What changes can we see because of them in the trial itself?
No change as far as my client's defense is concerned.
And the prosecution?
So far, as I say, they've given no indication of condensing their evidence.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Haldeman, are you still working at the White House?
I'm just finishing up at the White House. I'll finish up this week, I think, on any matters that I have to cover in the transition period here, and then we'll be through with any duties, but I'll be available for anything that may come up in the future. As far as today's concerned, I met with the grand jury from 12:15 to 6:15 and did the best I could to answer all of their questions and to cooperate fully, as I have consistently been doing with their investigation. And as I've said before, other than that, I will not take any questions or get into any discussion of this in the public forum at this time. Thanks very much.
Will you be back tomorrow? Will you return?
Excuse me. I don't believe so.
Can you? Haldeman, can you tell us what your relationship is? Are you still talking to the president?
Of course.
Can you describe your relationship?
I think that that's something that better not get into.
Why not?
Thank you.
Feel a little lonely?
Lawyer. Get a little cold this morning. I'm lonely.
Are you angry that...
Run us to death, huh?
perhaps you tell us again what you were discussing earlier, your suggestion as to what motivated Mr. McCord in this matter, why he would have been interested in what was going on in McGovern headquarters.
Out that type of related activity as it pertained to the McGovern headquarters. The judge indicated that he would not allow me to bring that out in my cross-examination of government witnesses, but that if I wished I could recall them as my own witness. It was my argument that since the scope of the activities by Mr. Gregory in the McGovern headquarters was brought out on direct examination, I should be allowed to go into it on cross, but the judge ruled differently.
What greater harm was... Could you elaborate?
I won't elaborate on the specifics of my defense. That'll come out when I put my defense...
Is this the whole thrust of your defense, Mr. Alch?
It is, and it's a well-established principle of law. I intend to present to the court tomorrow morning in memorandum form the various cases which have held that there is this principle of law. I explained to the judge that the question will be whether or not the jury finds a reasonable doubt as to this principle, but I should at least be entitled to bring this evidence to the jury's attention.
Well, what persons or what groups were posing this harm to the president or other Republican officials?
It's common knowledge that in the same time period as the Watergate incident in the Washington, D.C. area, there were several demonstrations which resulted in violence. The Chief of Police, Jerry Wilson, had his head split open with a brick. There were other arrests attending violence. I believe, as I explained to the judge, that the evidence will show that there were plans for mass demonstrations which raised the distinct possibility and probability of violence at the Republican convention.
Well, in plain words, though, how could gathering intelligence in the McGovern headquarters help avoid these perils that Mr. McCord may have foreseen to the Republican campaign?
Hypothetically speaking, let's suppose that a call was received at McGovern headquarters from any of these groups which have participated in these violent demonstrations to the effect that they were coming into the Capitol with 3,000 or 4,000 members of their groups on a given date. This would certainly alert the security forces as to when and where this potential violence might occur.
They were coordinating with the McGovern people? Is that what you're saying? They were calling McGovern with these plans?
I'm not saying that the McGovern people necessarily had a hand in the violence. I'm saying that it's possible, in view of their support of the Democratic candidate, that they may have indicated to them their plans for demonstrations, which could conceivably have led to violence.
Can you point to one incident?
One question?
Go ahead, Dan.
Mr. Alch, you supported and accepted the truth of Tom Gregory's testimony, whereas the lawyer for Mr. Liddy was trying very hard to impeach that witness. Is your defense going a different direction from Mr. Liddy's defense?
I think that Mr. Liddy's counsel was trying to undermine the identification by Mr. Gregory of his client. My defense is not one of denial, but of confession and avoidance. We can't deny that Mr. McCord was where he was and was attempting to do what he did. I'm trying to explain why and tie it in with a legal principle which will give rise to a lack of criminal responsibility.
But this involves your calling Gregory as your witness, the witness whom the other defendant is trying to undermine as to credibility. Is there a split between you?
Not necessarily, because I intend to elicit from Mr. Gregory, if and when I call him, the activities of these anti-war groups. This may or may not pertain to Mr. Liddy.
Well, carrying your theory of defense one step farther, how does it then work into Mr. McCord's being in the offices of the Democratic National Committee in the early morning of June 17th?
If this principle applies, and I intend to show that it does, it will justify, as regarding criminal liability, his actions.
A piece of the Republican campaign?
I can't with regard to the monitored conversations because I've not been privy to just what the contents of those conversations
So what do you have
are.
as a theory? You don't know of one time in which it achieved that purpose, that goal?
It's not necessary to show exactly what was monitored. The key to my defense is what was his intent in attempting to overhear any conversations.
And the ends will then justify the means.
Under this theory of law, I hope so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Alch, excuse me.
You know,
Can we get you right there and get the four of you to come out together? Can we get the four of you to come together? Can you pull in a little bit? Come up forward? That's it. Come on up a little bit so we can get you in the sun a little bit. That's it. Okay, good. Thank you. You can walk forward for them if you want.
President.
Could you elaborate?
I won't elaborate on the rule of law. I intend to present to the court tomorrow morning in memoranda form the
Republican campaign.
from any of these groups which have participated in these violent demonstrations to the effect that they were coming into the Capitol with 3,000 or 4,000 members of their groups on a given date. It would certainly alert the security forces as to when and where this potential violence might occur.
They were coordinating with the McGovern people? Is that what you're saying? They were calling McGovern with these plans?
I'm not saying that the McGovern people necessarily had a hand in the violence. I'm saying that it's possible, in view of their support of the Democratic candidate, that they may have indicated to them their plans for demonstrations, which could conceivably have led to violence.
Can you point to one instant?
Mr. Alch, you supported and accepted the truth of Tom Gregory's testimony.
By a technical violation of law.
Whom did he fear harm or planning it?
It could come about as a result of these demonstrations which have inevitably led to violence.
Do you expect to prove that there was a chance that he hoped to find that kind of information in the Democratic National Committee headquarters?
It's not inconceivable. It's not inconsistent with this theory of my defense.
Thank you.